بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. We left off in God's emissaries talking about Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam and his situation, how his property was destroyed, how his children were destroyed, how his health was destroyed. Everything Shaitan kept going to try to prove to Allah that Ayyub would be disobedient or complaining or ungrateful. So this Shaitan's main objective is to make people ungrateful to Allah, because grateful is shukr and ungrateful is kufr. So he wants to bring him to kufr, but he cannot. He keeps trying and trying and trying. So when Shaitan cannot get to you, he starts to go to those close to you. He starts to go after the other ones that may not be as strong in faith as you, or someone else that's close to you. So in this case, it had gotten to the point where Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam, his wife needed to go and work to take care of Ayyub, because he could not take care of himself anymore. He was very sick. He couldn't do anything. So his wife went to go out and take care of him. And we mentioned that a lot of times this one spouse may, in these times, and those times too, probably it's always been going on, but one of the good qualities of a spouse is that they stand by you in the times that are difficult. For example, Sayyidah Khadija, alayhi salam, she went and when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi and the Muslimin were exiled in the ship of Abu Talib alayhi salam, they were in bad situation, and Khadija spent all of her wealth for Islam. Islam thrived with wealth of Khadija and with the protection of Abu Talib in those times, and the strength of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salam. So Islam is indebted to the sacrifices that she made to support her husband and to support Islam. And we see also that good quality in a spouse is that they will help each other in difficult times. Like the wife of Ayyub alayhi salam, she is going to support Ayyub in his difficult times. But now, and sometimes we see that any financial problem, maybe the person is wealthy and they have a spouse, then the person loses their wealth. And they say, oh, you can't take care of me in the same way, and you can't keep my standard of living in this way. No, I don't want to be with you, with the divorce. Or the other spouse, they lose their health. Health is deteriorating. They get sickness. They say, oh, I was good with you while you were good, but now you're not good. You're sick. Khalas, divorce. I don't want to be with you. They leave the person all alone. This is not good. We can learn for the example of Sayyidah Khadija and the wife Rahma. Her name is the wife of Ayyub. That when the spouse is in trouble, financial or sick or any of these things, that the other one should take care of them. So now she's going out and sweeping people's houses, washing clothes, doing all sorts of things. And now Shaitan, he cannot get to Ayyub. So now he's going after the wife of Ayyub. So Shaitan came as an old man. He does this. He goes to people, most of the narrations, you see him come as old man or a youth or some person that people don't know. He comes with some idea and puts it in their mind, as we see was the case with people of Lut. So he came as old man, and he came to the people in the town, and he says, how is it that you allow a woman to serve you who nurses her husband's wounds? He is sick and he has open wounds and these type of things. And then she comes in your house and puts her contaminated hands on your dishes and your food and your drinks and all of these things. It's like now if someone has the husband is having COVID, for example, and the wife is going out and working at other people's house, they come say, how can you let that person come in your house? They could make you sick because the husband is sick. So this is the thing he's doing to the people. So it worked. And on that day on, they didn't let his wife, Rahma, go into their homes. Now, she has to go tell Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam, what is going on. And she's very sad. And, some families, even though they didn't want to employ her anymore, they felt sorry for her. So they would still give her food and other things. So despite Ayyub's admonishment against taking sadaqah, she accepted the offering. It says, meanwhile, Shaitan strengthened his grip on Ayyub's deteriorating health. It said that his wounds became unbearable for the people around because the wounds had a smell to them. They threatened to force him to leave the city, and he told them that there was no need for threats, and he understood the situation, and he asked them to carry him to the dumping grounds outside of the city so they could be relieved of him and he could rest he didn't want to bother other people. So they didn't want to. They said, we don't want to come to you, and we are far from you, and we want to be far away from you. So how can we possibly come near you to carry you there? So when he lost hope in their help, he turned to his wife again, and he asked her, if she said, he's told her, you see how the people turned on me. They have turned against me. And they detest me. At once they love me, and now they are hating me. I want you to go out to the crossroads and wait for any travelers that come by and tell them my story and ask them to help you move me to those grounds. So it's a very sad situation. Imagine being this prophet is loved by all people there, and then he's getting a bad situation, and now all the people, they don't even want to come near him. And we see this has happened with all prophets mostly. We see with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa how everyone at one time they loved him, Al-Amin, As-Sadiq. They called him truthful and trustworthy, and they loved him. But when he came with the message, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, they changed, turned against him. How all the people, they loved Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but then the time came and they wrote him all those letters to come, and they turned on him. It's very sad. So this is a situation. Ayyub's community has turned on him. So she went to the first two dumping grounds, and she built a shelter there for Ayyub and herself. And she went to the crossroads to do as Ayyub said. And she was waiting there for a while, and two handsome men came. They said their face had nur, and they had a nice smell to them. She felt that those people were very good. So she became embarrassed to give the need to them. Sometimes we have a need, but we get shy and we don't want to ask. We get embarrassed and we don't ask, and we leave and we never ask. So they spoke first, and they said, how is our friend Ayyub? How is he dealing with his affliction? So she told them how bad his situation had gotten, and how all the people left him, and how she made a shelter for Ayyub in that place. And she asked them, Nas'alukum dua, but pray for us, we ask you for your dua. So they told her, when you go back to him, give our greetings to him, convey our salam. So when she went to ask them for the need that she had, that they had were on their way leaving. So she went back to Ayyub and told them about the two men that she met. And hearing about it, Ayyub said, how I wish I could see Jibra'il, Mikael, the two angels. So he said, Rahma, my wife, how blessed you are to have spoken with Allah's angels. So we see that other people also have spoken with Allah's angels. It's not just prophets. Rahma spoke with angel. Maryam spoke with angel. So this also shows some people bring some doubts and say, how could, we say that Fatima Zahra alayha salam also spoke with angel. How can this happen for a wife of Ayyub, and mother of Isa, but not for daughter of the greatest of creation, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. So Rahma met with these two angels, Jibreel, Mikael. So Rahma, she rushed to go back to there after Ayyub told her this in hopes to find those two angels again. And now she came and she saw four of them there. The same two from before, Jibreel, Mikael, and two other ones. So this time they asked her immediately if we could be of your service, like how can we help you? So they went and met with Ayyub. They told him to continue being patient in the face of this musibah that he is going through, these trial, tribulations. And they prayed for him to have good health. Then they carried him all together to the shelter that Rahma made for him. And then they left. Rahma led Ayyub to the bed she made with some soft dirt. She felt very ashamed about what she could do for her husband. She wanted to do more. So she said, author saying, she said kind of sarcastically, welcome, ahlan wa sahlan Ayyub, here's your bed. This is all I can give you is this bed of dirt. It's not the nice carpets that we used to sleep on before. And now your pillow is not that nice soft pillow we had before, but now it is a rock to lay your head on, to show how the situation had gone. Sometimes this is how we deal with things. We're in we have to make the best of the situation, and sometimes the saying goes, I laugh to keep from crying. So this is how it was. So Ayyub told her, didn't I tell you, don't think about the past blessings. Don't think about those things. Because if we think about the good things we had then, now we'll be ungrateful for what we have now. That this is so true. Most people, they're always thinking about what they had before. I used to have this before, I used to have that, and now I don't have anything. Now I have lost I used to have a very nice 750 series BMW, for example, one of the nicest cars, and or Porsche or this type of thing. Now I have nothing. I don't have car. I've lost my job. I used to live in a big home and now I have nothing. And they just always are thinking about how it used to be, and they will be ungrateful and they will overlook the blessing they have in the moment. So he told her, don't think about those things. Ayyub threw himself on the earth. He praised Allah. He said, glory be to Allah who is mighty and near. Glory be to Allah who is lofty and high. And he is glorious and almighty. Ayyub always praising Allah, no matter how difficult it got. He was truly had sabr. Most people complain at the smallest thing, they complain. But Ayyub never complaining. Ayyub put the only blanket they had over him, and she covered the door with the branches and the leaves, and she was taking care of Ayyub's wounds and she finding food for them. And without his knowledge, she went to the door and to get what she could. She went door to door, tried to get what she could. She asked one woman who said, get away from here, for Ayyub's God, or Allah is angry with Ayyub. This is the trick that Shaitan has put on people, to say Ayyub is God's prophet. He must have angered God to get in this situation. So they would shut the door in her face. She came back to Ayyub crying. She said, everyone has turned away from us. Everyone has shut their doors on us. So Ayyub comforted her, saying, it doesn't matter if they shut their doors on us. Allah's door is never shut. His mercy comes without fail. Don't worry. They can shut their door for us. Don't worry about it. It does the need doesn't come from them. The fulfillment of the need. It comes from Allah. So Allah will provide for us. Inna Allaha khairu razaqeen. We say, verily Allah is best of providers. And Allah will provide from you from places that you don't even expect it. It has probably happened to all of us, and all of us have some story about this, but Allah always provide. I'm in the house of one of my friends now, and he was telling me last night that one time in Karbala that he had a dream that one of his friends, or an older gentleman, he needed something, and that he was going to come to him for that need. And so the next day, the guy called him on the phone. Somehow they were both in Karbala same time, and the guy called him. And before the guy said anything, my friend said, "How much do you need? Come to me and get it. I will meet you in Haram, or meet me somewhere. Just tell me how much you need." And the guy started like, what do you mean? Like, how do you know I need anything? He said, "I had a dream you would come to me and ask me for something. I need to give you something." So the guy started crying. He said, "I can't believe it. I was in Haram from beginning of the morning all the way till now, just crying and asking Allah, doing tawassul, Imam Hussein, asking, I need this hajat. He was there with his family, and somehow the money was gone. He didn't have any money to go back home to Iran, and he didn't have any way to pay for his hotel and all of the things. Something happened with his money, and he didn't want to look embarrassed or bad in front of his family, and he wanted the solution. So he was asking for the solution in the shrine of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and then it works out. This person, my friend, has a dream. I need to give this individual something. He will come to you and you give him. So the need comes, Allah will provide for the people, and through a way that we don't even expect. So he said, don't worry if these people shut the door in your face. Allah will take care of us. Don't worry about it. He had tawakkul, or trust in Allah. And that's what we have to do. We have to trust in Allah that Allah will provide for us. Sometimes it seems impossible and the situation is very critical. And that's usually when it happens, right around the moment that you are about to lose all your hope and give up your hope and just say, I don't think this is going to work. That's usually when it comes at the last moment. So we always just have to trust in Allah that Allah will sort it out for us. He says, his mercy descends without fail, but he knew the burden on her was great, and he wished to offer her a way out. He felt sorry for his wife, that she is having to look after him and take care of him, and it's very difficult and all of these things. So he gave her an option. He just said, do you want to leave me? You can go. I will let you leave. You can just go your way and go. Similarly, like Imam Hussein alayhi salam had his companions, he gave them the speech, and then he told them, you don't owe me anything. Basically, you can be free and you can leave, and they are after me, not after you, and you can go your way and no one will blame you. And I turn out the lights, and so you can leave without shame, and you can go, and give them a way out. So she said she was surprised by that question and kind of shocked. She said, may Allah forbid me for ever thinking that. And she said, what excuse would I have in front of Allah for abandoning his prophet? So she put his worries at ease, and she said, maybe I can take you to another city where the people are nicer than this place. So with a lot of difficulty, she took Ayyub to the next city. and she left him outside the city gates and asked Allah to protect him from wild animals. And she went into the marketplace and she announced, if anyone needs clothes washed, their floors swept, the trash taken out, bringing water, all of these, I will do this work. Just give me some food. Just exchange for, I'll give you the service, you give me food. So some woman didn't recognize her, and she said some unkind words to her. So Rahma asked her, why do you say such things about me? Do you not realize that I am Rahma, daughter of Ephraim, son of Yusuf, son of Yaqub, son of Ishaq, son of Ibrahim, and I am the wife of Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam, Allah's prophet. So the woman got ashamed. She said, oh, let me go see Ayyub. Sometimes this happens. And this is why we have to be careful to be kind and nice to everyone, because we don't know who we are dealing with. They didn't know this was wife of Allah's prophet. And it shouldn't matter who we're dealing with. We should be kind to everyone. But sometimes people are only nice to people that they think have an upper hand over them or that they deserve respect. We should be kind to even the people who a lot of people maybe look down on them. Someone who is sweeping the floor, someone who is, bringing the chai, or these type of things. A lot of people look at them as a servant or something, but they should be kind to the servant, kind to the one who is working. We see that Imam Rida alayhi salam sat with the African servants at the same table. Some companions came and said, oh, you shouldn't sit with them. I'll make another place for you, and you sit in this nice place and you let the servants over there. No, we're all like the teeth on the comb. We're all the sons of Adam. Why would I do that? We have to treat people with respect. Imagine you treat someone disrespectfully and you don't know who it is. Imagine if you treated, it was Imam, for example, or it was companion of Imam, someone close to the Imam, awliya Allah, someone you didn't know, and you treated them bad. I remember my friend told me him and another Sheikh had the regular clothes, no amama, no abba, none of this, and went into a big center. Lady said, what are you doing here? Who are you? Like, what do you want? And like was really rude to them and told them kind of to get lost. And they said, oh no, we're here for program and we need to be here. And she didn't know who they were. They went in center and they changed and put a mama and thing. And later on, the same person is coming out bringing tea to the people, and she saw them, that they were the one giving the program that night and they were the scholars, and she felt shocked. Like, imagine she wouldn't have said that, but we don't know who we're talking to. So this is other lesson from this, is that we should be kind and generous and welcoming to all sorts of the people, not based on whether if they are important position or not. So the woman wanted to see Nabi Ayyub. So Rahma took her, and when she saw him, she started weeping because she saw what condition he was in. So she asked, is this Ayyub who once owned so much land and animals and servants? Ayyub replied, indeed, I am Ayyub, Allah's slave and messenger, whose hunger is not satiated except by Allah's remembrance, and whose thirst is not quenched except by Allah's praise. Rahma told the woman, please bring me an axe with which I can cut some small trees and I can build a shelter and protect Ayyub from the heat and the cold, and where I can make food for him. And she brought her an axe, and his wife went to work. She started working in 5 different houses in that town. In exchange for her labor, she was able to earn enough wheat to bake 10 loaves of bread, which was very good for them. So she was excited, and she told Ayyub, I have got food for today, and I promise not to leave your side until this food runs out. So she baked the bread, and she would soak it in water before feeding it to Ayyub, because his teeth had fallen out. and he couldn't chew properly anymore because of his health conditions. So Ayyub told her, may Allah reward you handsomely. You are indeed from the line of the prophets. Then he turned his attention towards Allah and he said, praise is to him who does not forget those who remember him, and does not abandon those who thank him, and does not disgrace those who place their trust in him. Dominion is his. To him do all things return, and he has power over all things. We say that Allah will always remember us. As long as we are grateful to Allah, Allah will increase for us. And no matter what condition or what, if we are reduced to being this sick, or some people are saying this is lowest position that I can get in at this moment, but Allah will take care of us. There's an interesting story from Riwayat that Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam saw it was one animal. It would believe it was the frog. The ant would bring something, the frog would take it, the food, and he would bring it down all the way to the bottom of he would put the animal in the frog in his mouth, and it would go down to the bottom of the ocean or the sea or wherever, and it would come back up. It would open his mouth, and that small creature would come out. And it was very interesting. What is going on with that? Like, why is that ant going in the mouth of the frog, and frog is going down to the bottom of the sea? And he asked Allah about it, and there was a worm in the bottom of the sea, in that bottom of the ocean, in a small, in a rock, in the bottom of the sea, that Allah sent his provision that way for him, that Allah did not even forget this small creature as a worm in the bottom of the sea. Allah found a way to provide for, Allah provided for him even something as we would think is insignificant as a worm in the bottom of the sea. Allah is providing and giving sustenance for that. So Allah will provide and give us sustenance as well. So as long as we are trusting in him and are grateful to him and being patient. So one day, Rahma, the wife of Ayyub, was on her way from work when Shaitan now has come disguised as a doctor. So he met her. He said, I'm a doctor from the West. I heard about your husband's illness. I have come to treat him. I'll pay him a visit tomorrow. In the meantime, tell him that he has to do the following things if he wants to be cured. He must slaughter a sparrow without mentioning the name of Allah, and eat from the flesh of this bird. He must drink a full glass of wine, and he has to smear blood all over his body. If he does these things, he will get relief. So Rahma, thinking this only hope the doctor has given her, she went back and told Ayyub what she saw. So she finished her encounter with this doctor, telling him about all of these things, and she only saw that Ayyub was very upset. She had never seen him like this. So he said, when have you ever seen me take or eat anything where Allah's name has not been mentioned? When have you known me even to touch wine? When have you known me to pollute my body with filth? Rahma, you were once the messenger of Jibreel and Mikael. They came and talked to you to give salam to me. But today you have become the messenger of Shaitan himself. You have taken advice from Shaitan to bring to me. So she realized it was a mistake of what had happened, and who she really encountered was made clear to her. And she had fallen victim to one of the whispers of suggestions of Shaitan. So she apologized and she asked Ayyub to forgive her, and he did. Then he warned her never to let her guard down like this. Be very careful. And sometimes we will have things presented to us that will go against Allah's commands. And they'll be made to seem to us that it is the only solution to our problems, is if we do this thing. But we have to be aware that the help of Allah does not come through disobedience to Allah. We have to know that Allah is in control of all things, and we have to place our trust in Allah, our absolute trust in Him. They will come and they will say, drinking wine is good for you. It will cure such and such disease. You have this disease, drink alcohol. It will fix all your problem. How can the cure of something be in the disobedience of the Creator? It cannot be. So sometimes they will come and they'll say the only way to get out of this, debt, and the only way solution for you is to steal, to take some of the money out of the register. It's a little bit they won't notice, and eventually you will become wealthy enough to pay off your loan, for example, or any type of thing. The only solution is this way. We cannot, go to disobedience of Allah. So, for example, in some places, I remember I was speaking with one of the scholars that does a lot of work with the schools around the world, and he was telling me that in India, in some province, that they are forcing the girls to take off their hijab. They're 14, 15 years old or something, to go take a test to be accredited by the government for their school, because the school didn't have accreditation. They study in the school, they need to go take the final test in the government facility, and the only way they can take that test is to take off their hijab. So they were trying to get the school accredited through them, so that way they don't have to worry about going through government to get the accreditation. And the way is presented. The only way you will be successful in life is if you go and take your hijab off. The only way I can get a job to go work is to take my hijab off. The only way I can do this is to do other sin. It's always this is presented. So Ayyub was telling his wife this: never let your guard down. These are all tricks of shaitan. So we recognize this is one of tricks of shaitan, that he will make it look like disobedience is the only answer to get the success. So another day, she returned from work. Shaitan appeared before her again, this time with pomp and majesty. As he approached, he said, I believe I know you. Are you not Rahma, daughter of Ephraim, the wife of the one who was afflicted, Prophet Ayyub? She said, yes. So he said, I knew you to be a family of wealth, sufficiency. What brought you down to this low state? So Rahma told her, we have been tried by having all of our wealth destroyed, all of our children killed, and worst of all my husband is sick. He said, why do you think all of these tribulations came to you? She said, because Allah Almighty wanted to test our patience in the face of trials. He said back to her that you could not be more wrong. Rather, there is a God of the heavens and there is a God of the earth, who is me. I wished for you to exclusively be my servants, but you worship the God of the heavens instead. So I punished you like this. All of your wealth and your children and your servants, they're with me. Follow me and I'll show them to you. I've kept them in this valley just over that hill. So hearing this, she was in such a state of desperation and bad state that she was so confused by, what do you mean all of our stuff is over there? So she could say, I want to go verify, what is he saying? All of our things are on that other side, if he's telling the truth or not. So she went, and as they approached the overlook, Shaitan bewitched her eyes with trickery, so that she saw all of her things and her children and her servants gathered in that valley. He said, don't you believe me now, or do you still think I am lying? But Rahma remembered Ayyub's warning, so she told him, I don't know what else to say to you. I don't have anything to say. I need to go talk to my husband, Ayyub. So she escaped from that place and went home. When she told her encounter with this to Ayyub, he said, to Allah we belong and to him we return. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Please, Rahma, do you not know that there is no other God but the one God? If Allah takes a person's life, no one can bring him back except Allah. She said, I know this. So Ayyub, he said, if you had only employed your intellect, you would have not let shaitan get in your ear and play with your emotions. You would have not allowed him to bewitch your eyes. So she said, Ya Nabi Allah, forgive me for this mistake. I'll never do this again. So Ayyub said, I forbid you once to listen to this creature, this jinn, this shaitan. And now you have perpetuated the same thing. You've done the same thing again, twice. So he said, I hereby swear an oath to Allah that if he restores my health, I will give you 100 lash for talking with shaitan. So he said, we'll talk more about this and we go further. So Rahma admitted her mistake and repented for it, and she herself wished to be expiated for this. So to this end, she used to say, I wish Ayyub would recover quickly and give me the thing that he had promised to me, along with 100 more. All the tribulations Allah let shaitan inflict upon Ayyub were tolerable, and yet Ayyub maintained unswerving patience throughout this. Once Rahma suggested to Ayyub that he pray to Allah to cure him, but Ayyub replied, we lived in comfort for 70 years, so let us be patient in hardship for something on that order. So he's saying that you are complaining about right now, right? This moment in that we are experiencing difficulty, whether that difficulty lasts for 1 day, 1 year, 1 month, all of this. But what about all of the other years that we have behind us that we lived good and we enjoyed and we had a nice life? What do we complain about this small amount of time? We have to be patient and allow Allah to heal us and bring his, it's in the time of Allah. It said, at last, when Shaitan saw no other way to break Ayyub, he went to some monks who lived in the surrounding mountains and had been Ayyub's companions, and made them suspect Ayyub and convinced them to ask him about the trials he faced. So they traveled to Ayyub on their mules, and when they got close to his shelter, the mules refused to go any closer. So they bound the animals to each other to prevent them from running away, and then they went on foot. When they saw the state of Ayyub's body and his shack that he was living in, the suspicions Shaitan had planted in their heads were confirmed. So they told him, Ayyub, until now we have had no better opinion about anyone than we had of you. However, we believe Allah has punished you in this way because of some sins that you have secretly done, or because your good deeds and acts of worship were done to show off, not for the sake of Allah. We beg you to tell us what secret sins you have done to anger Allah like this. So Ayyub was, he's, hurt by this, that they would assume that he has done some sort of sins, because it's not in the way of prophets to do sins. I think we have run out of time, but inshallah, we will see that what Ayyub replied to these monks and how he answered them and how he answered their misconception that when someone is suffering from something, it must be because of something they have done, some sort of sin. This is not the case. As we mentioned before, riwayat, that they said one person came to Imam Bakr alayhi salam and said, we understand that sometimes people do sins and they get afflictions and they get expiated for their sins. But what about Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Imams, for example, alayhimus salam? They don't have sin. So why are they suffering more than anyone? And it said to increase their thawab and their position. Their thawab is going more and more and more because of the sufferings that they endure. As Allah says, "Inna Allaha ma'as sabirin," Allah is with the patient ones. So it is the wrong idea to think because someone is suffering or being afflicted, it is because of something they have done. Maybe it is to increase their thawab. So we'll see how he answered them in the next week, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so we'll meet next week, inshallah, and same time, and